Bob. Hi, Bob. How you doing? Good to meet you, Bob. This is Frank. We both have Wednesday Kennedy syndrome, Bob.
We're both coming off heavy Wednesday Kennedy syndrome.
Bob,
We need
it's what it
medication.
is, you know.
It's what it is.
It's what it is,
We
Bob.
can't afford the drugs we need to stay sane.
You don't know what
Someone
it is,
has
Bob.
to help us.
Because
someone has to help us.
You're in trouble, Bob.
You know you do.
You know you're in trouble. You're in trouble, Bob.
You know you do.
You know you're in trouble.
I get my best thoughts like first thing in the morning. And I don't really want to have to worry about what I look like first thing in the morning. So, you know, a ponytail is like as much as I can manage. It's like every night before I go to sleep, I pray for truth. I pray for clarity. I pray that God gives me the strength to put these pieces together in a coherent way, which I know will legally and, you know, socially, financially net me nothing, but spiritually and emotionally and tribally, I'm left with no choice. Because the reason why you can't face this without God is when you actually start putting the pieces together, you realize this war is supernatural, it's metaphysical, and that the forces against you are satanic, and you can't save yourself because you've tried every single thing to save yourself for years on end.
Beautiful. Yes. Just let me get my speech together.
Oh, I'm not really a doorman, you see. It's all an act.
Somebody that you should come and see because it's something about the environment and how we can save some water and preserve plants the longer. So you should come and have a look and ask questions about it. Come on.
No, I'm not really sure. I don't care.
No? Well, no, it's a secret. You had to guess it. That keeps the mystery up. Come on.
You do the puppet?
Come on, let's go have a look.
You're gathering the information that they've had all along, but you haven't. And they've used that information against you. And then when you started to wake up, that's when they started telling you that you were crazy. Actually, it happened before that. Crazy was a trigger word that was installed by my ex-husband, Patrick Foray, and I actually wrote a monologue after that I recorded with the ABC, and it was Libby Douglas who commissioned that, which is really interesting because Libby just wouldn't give me any work other than that. With my writing, she wouldn't give me those opportunities. She ran the drama department, but she'd get me in as the actor, and that was part of the reinforcement. You're not a writer, you're not a producer, you're just an actor, because actors are their puppets.
So anyway, what do you mean that my work is incomprehensible and that you're scared that people will think that I'm crazy? What do you mean by that, huh?
Well, what I mean by that is, but when you're stupid, you just keep on bending in the wind. Loving you is as dumb now as when this thing just began. I may be crazy for you now, but I'm stupid in the end. Here comes the second verse. It was a dream. Why do they're after me! I got no brain! I'm going crazy! God, I wish that the way that I'm crazy for you. Well, what I mean by that is appearing in my mind that's not me enough, then urging me to please shut up. That you surf along the streams of consciousness. Amend thy ways to allow other thoughts' existence. Write not the poem, write the other poem. Is a beautiful and delicate thing. And what? I counter. By so doing, am I not giving vent to another that's not the actuality of me? Just too beautiful, too much that I could not have the essence of me. Is a delicate and evanescent thing. And the meaning that you have in it is particular to you. And if only everybody, I think I can get it. I'm starting to get it.
So here's the thing, and I'll try to nutshell this as much as I can. Bob knew I was targeted because I told him. But I didn't really have to tell him, because he had watched me for, all that time on MySpace and all those years previously on Facebook, and he could see in my videos that I was targeted. I had also invited him in 2010 to be part of this supper club that Bilson was setting up at the time, which of course never happened. But, it was another Wizard of Oz dreaming type situation which was, the carpet was pulled on that about 6 months in. But Bob watched that. He watched that whole trap and drama being played out.
I am the videographer. I stand like a sentinel at the gates of the Sydney Writers' Festival. I work for a man named Sharkfin, otherwise known as the Feeder. He feeds everyone. Lawyers, judges, cops, and publishers. And I got a book I need smuggled out of these borders. So I'm scanning the room. I gave Sharkfin a copy of my book, but I think he put it in the bin. So now I hold the camera, I'm the digital diva. I shoot, narrate, and edit. I make YouTube stars of wannabes. I make pallid, limp affairs look like happening events. I feed the lie and the lie feeds me. It's a symbiotic relationship. And tonight I'm standing on the outside looking in at the literati event of the year, facing the door and across from the smoking tables. I'm no longer the 21st century showgirl. I'm the keeper of the gaze now. My camera is my cock, my pen, my pussy, and my deadly weapon. A picture paints 1,000 words. I shoot before I know what I'm saying. I brought a New York state of mind back to the fatal shore, but that don't get you nowhere around here. You take a New York state of mind to Queensland and you're just asking to be raped. In Adelaide, you'll find your body in a barrel. In WA, a New York state of mind will find you suitable employment as the canary in the mine. And every single road leads home to the cradle of whores and criminals. My city of Sydney. Playground of Madame Lash and ascension point of Mary MacKillop. I am the woman that stands somewhere between them, on the crossroads between heaven and hell, with my suitcase, waiting to hitch a ride. Either way, let's see who turns up before sunset. You only live once, right? And almost on cue, the crowd parts, and the sycophants fall to the left and the right. And there in front of my eyes stands the last of the great white smokers, Christopher Hitchens.
The short of it is, Bob watched it. He was part of it, so he very much knew what my situation was by the time he arrived in Australia in October of 2013. I had introduced him to the other gang stalkers. I mean, getting my head around that is huge. I had introduced him. So in preparation for the show, I would send out group emails to Bob and the other people who are involved in the show, the crew, and Bob would ignore me in those emails. And it just, it did two things. It shamed me in front of my own crew, and it just made me look like an idiot, like I was just talking to myself. So I sort of got wind of this after a while. Like, I was working really hard on this show and I wasn't getting paid, Anyway, so I pulled the plug. But he talked me into it. He talked me into doing it. And he did it with really just a few trigger words. And then he got me to ring him. And I just rang him like a...
Dial the number of my equal opportunity employer to inform him I will not be in to work today.
Rang him like a robot, and like 2 words and I was already like in that sort of zombie space.
How come I'm crazy for you?
And that's when I changed the poster. It was like I graffitied on it. And that would have been a sign to him that I was in that space. So he knew that I was in the doll space before he'd even left New York.
You're crazy. You just go around the bend. When you're stupid, you just keep on bending in the wind.
And then he gets here and the first thing he says to me is, "This is the beginning." So he puts me into that sort of movie space. This is the beginning. And I'm like, beginning.
So can you get across down there, or do you have to go up over here?
Yeah, I think we gotta go up. This way.
What's the purpose of your dream? I got a job. No job. I'm good. Oh, I live alone, but then there's a dog, but you don't really count. Oh, yeah.
Dropped your undies, Bob?
Yeah, I dropped my undies somewhere. I hope they got them on camera so I can find them. I bought these new quick dry undies after the Ukrainian experience of having to do my laundry all the time.
You know, I couldn't script this. After the Ukrainian experience of having to do my own laundry all the time. I mean, if that doesn't just sum it all up in a nutshell.
And the ad on the undies said 17 countries, one pair of underwear. Or maybe two, in parentheses. So I said to the sales lady, what do you think? She said, well, I definitely would go with two. I said, well, I'm only going to one country, but I'm going for a month.
He's there. He's hiding in plain sight. He's literally telling me everything. He's telling me that what he learned in the Ukraine was drip dry undies.
She said, I said, how about three? She said, yeah, three. I said, four? She said, four, I think that's the way to go. So I have four packed up, and the one I had was my extra. So I think it should be good, but maybe it'll turn up. You never know. What are we going to do here? Take a steam?
Yes, steam.
Drip dry undies. And he's telling me that, you know, he's telling me what he's about to do, which is to go dropping his undies all the way around Australia. You know, and he's got 4 pairs, which is true. He's got 4 places to drop his undies around Australia. And then he's got the spare pair. And the spare pair is the night that he's going to try to come back and do his last night with me. Just really hammering in that programming before he flies back to New York. And his idea is that he's going to go back to New York and handle me from there. That's his plan. But what's really interesting for me to look back on that video, because I just held onto that camera that whole 4 days, so I can see the progression in myself. I can see right back to the bowels of Manhattan.
My stepfather was a complete bastard, but he did tell me a couple of things. He said, learn something really well. And what I learned was how you hear how your inner ear works. And I learned about the platypus, the only egg-laying mammal in the world.
Orange, green.
Thank you. You got your green and your salmon bundy juices. Yeah, I think it'll be all right, you know. Have you seen the way that he looks at his iPhone all the time? It's one of them, you know. Green it is. Wednesday, it's such a delight to be joining you and your monocularity.
Lift the green cup, slow it down, bring on the absinthe fairy. This was something else. I was not in control. I was not in control of myself after that. And he maintained me in that state right up until he left.
Go for a swim and find a place to leave the luggage till we go to your house. And then maybe we just get crazy and go someplace else and have breakfast there. I don't even know what Oz breakfast is. But I sling a mean omelet, Miss Kennedy. If you'll let me, I'll chop and mince and crack. You see, you never know when to cut.
I cut in the edit.
You never cut.
I cut in the edit.
Well, then just fucking edit, will you? Like I'm living real time here. And stir and griddle your soul. Hang on. Keep writing. Everything we're writing here is going to go into the piece. We're gonna have 5 days to get this thing into shape. Once I hit the ground running, we gotta always keep the improv edge. Don't forget to get that polar bear at the piano. I'm not worried about the writing. We already got too much writing. Enough with the writing and the tech side. What are we gonna do about that? Does the video have a tech side? What if we could only get Zed to do the tech work and join in with his guitar, other instrumentations? Look, maybe we need, I don't know, but and Gail's gonna come rolling in and she's gonna take over with her great fiction poetry. It's all real to me, I don't know.
He's making it sound like he is producing the show. But I was producing the show. I was the producer. And all of those things that he's talking about were things that I outlined in the emails, the group emails that were not erased. Well, they were erased because they were ignored. Ignored but reclaimed on stage here with Bob.
Gail's gonna come rolling in and she's gonna take over with her great fiction poetry. It's all real to me, I don't know. P.S. I really like your new Facebook profile picture. It's true. It's you.
Oh, you're such an asshole.
You know, he's showing off his skill set. He's showing off the way that he won me over and that he convinced me to do the show. He's showing off the way that he tricked me. And, you know, I don't really think anybody who calls themselves a poet should be practicing the art of deception. Poetry is not entertainment. It's not entertainment. Poetry should be about breaking the mind control, you know. Poetry is not about reflecting back the hive mind, you know. It's not about kneeling in submission to power. It's not about lying. Poetry is about truth. It's about speaking truth to power. It's about soul expression. But this is ultimately what happens when you take the God out of poetry, because that's what Bob did with the slam culture in New York. And I mean, you know, this is another thing with the mind control. You can't philosophically mature when you're being constantly coerced and gaslit and interrupted in your thought processes, because you're always in a state of survival, you know, who's going to hit me next? And this is deliberate, so you don't put those pieces together, because you need to be in a relaxed state of mind to put those pieces together. And if you're targeted, they're going to be, you know, their aim 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is to make sure that you are not relaxed. And that the stress builds up so much in your system that you end up dying young. You end up getting cancers, you end up getting strokes, you end up with all sorts of nervous system and immune system ailments that kill you young.
alternate take, the alternate take, the alternate take. Oh, the rest of resolution is not a solution. Want an apology? No possibility. My address, the contradiction of definition. Definition, demolition. Old riverboat man, death, he knows it. Who art thou and I, brother, but a uniform of bones and flesh? The above lines were stolen on your behalf from R. Williams Perry and T.H. Perry Williams in the name of American imperialism, which even is affecting the poetic form. Oh, baby, baby, urni croido alale kerdon.
I prayed for truth, and I got so much truth, I thought my head was going to spin off my body, just like Carrie in The Exorcist.
Oh, baby, baby, the only way to stop this poem is to kiss, kiss, where each kiss becomes a word.
Anyway, that's enough for one day. We'll be back with episode 11, and then we're going to put this show to bed. And I'm going to be happy to do that, because this is the 2-year anniversary of that October surprise. And for the last 2 years, I have basically lived in a state of fear and nervous exhaustion. And I have been too afraid to put these pieces together, because I've been afraid of repercussions, because other people on the local level came in after Bob left to maintain the reprogramming that he'd set up. So there's a lot of people that don't want me to speak, because they're afraid that my truth will be the end of their paradise. They have nothing to fear from me. I don't make these videos out of any sort of revenge. I make them because I have the right to reclaim my life and my story. And I will do that. And, you know, if you got under the skin of my story, and then you will end up in my story. But it's not like I gate crashed your club, or I gate crashed your life. You gate crashed mine. God bless.